Welcome to Charts Today. Well, what a difference a weekend makes with everything that's going on in the Middle East. And our thoughts are with people who are trapped there. And it's a pretty fearful situation. I know people there. We've got clients there. But let's look at what the effect is on the markets. Now, we're seeing crude oil up nearly 10%, upside targets here on the 1 minute chart. I put out an energy report to our clients earlier this morning, and we've seen gas prices in Europe up 20%. So really significant moves there, and that was out in our morning call report, which goes out to all our energy clients first thing at market open. But we're just coming up to 8:30 in the morning in the UK, and let's just take a look at what's going on. So the dollar has actually strengthened. So that's just meaning that we're seeing other currencies weaker against the dollar. Bitcoin really is still pretty bearish with these downside targets. Move into the pattern, sideways move. We've still got a downside target there. And if we look at the 60-minute chart, it's a bit more of a mixed picture. But the reality is that Bitcoin is looking lower there. The key thing is what's going to happen in the market. So looking at stocks, we've got the S&P future down 1.7%. So that's looking pretty toppy now. And the NASDAQ future down over 2%. Downside target activated on that future. We've been waiting to see that target turn from orange to red, and that's what's happened. Not showing up yet on the cash. We still see that target is orange there, but that will almost certainly turn red today, activating the downside target. So not good news for the market. Stocks don't like wars generally. We're seeing the FTSE down 1%. So that trend is still in train. But if you look at the 60-minute chart, we can see we're just coming back to the cloud there. So that's quite key. But the markets that have been really hit are the DAX and the CAC. So really falling lower there, just breaching that level that we saw on the 17th of February on the DAX. That's the future. This is the cash. And so we are just seeing an impact there. And in France, the CAC 40 down 2%. Again, that's impacting. Hang Seng was down 2% as well. So that's certainly feeling it. And we are just seeing a number of markets falling away here. And then if we look at India, that is down 2%, breaking a critical 80,000 level there. That's really quite key on the Sensex. So we see that level just breaking there. So again, that's quite key. The Aussie market just taken it in its stride. Resource stocks tend to be the driver there, and we're still holding on to those new all-time highs. We're looking at things like cocoa down 6%, really significant there. So down, hitting the target there. So that's really quite key that those targets were given and met. Gold, of course, is a beneficiary in times of war, and we see on the daily chart we're now at a level where we're above the previous closing highs. And if we look at the 60-minute chart, we do have a new upside target there. Now, of course, if you're running, I'm running up data here on LSEG. You could be running on Bloomberg. And here are my price targets on Bloomberg. You'd be running the targets on TradingView, so you can see Brent crude targets there, Nvidia, all the targets there as well. But I'm running on LSEG. If you're running on Metastock, Zenith, you will be seeing the same data as me because it's effectively the same system as Workspace. Here we have the upside target for gold, so that's really significant. And silver not looking quite as strong, but we do have an upside target that was given last week, and we are now discounting this downside target, which was always counter trend. We found support on the cloud, and we're breaking higher there too. And platinum, we're seeing here as well, just in recovery, finding support all the way through on the cloud. And if you look at the 60-minute chart, we did have an upside target generated last week as well. You can't ignore the targets. Bond market's relatively sanguine. If we look at stocks, the Dow 30 on Friday, some big moves here. American Express down 7%. That's really significant. Goldman Sachs also down 7%. Finance stocks really badly hit. And of course, the big story was Nvidia. Amazing results last week, but many of you will know that I've said that Nvidia's failure to make a new high is negative from a chart perspective. And now we look at the daily chart on Nvidia. If we look at the 60-minute chart, we see here that we are now really, that 170 level is really quite key. So that's the really important thing. And for the moment, that downside is looking to be gaining some traction there. And if you're running these on TradingView, this is the 10-minute chart in Nvidia, 171 as a target there on that chart. So really just one to watch. So looking at performance, we did see Merck. They were up 3.7% upside targets. That's a pretty good example of a recovery. Of course, you can scan for these in UpData. And then looking at Walmart, just going from strength to strength, really, and hitting those train tracks. And of course, we are seeing crude oil stocks, Chevron breaking to new high, target given there. So that's also quite key. Looking at the NASDAQ, we had Netflix. They had a very positive response, up 13%. Still bearish on the cloud. Ever since this takeover of Warner Brothers, they've been in a downtrend. But the interesting thing is the market reaction there was quite positive on the back of that. So that was quite an interesting reaction. Now looking at the London stocks today, and we can just rank by performance. And when I did this at Market Open, we had a lot more stocks in bullish mode. We can see here BAE Systems, the biggest beneficiary of what's going on, up 7%. Upside targets here, breaking to new highs. So really significant there. Shell, of course, oil companies doing well today. Shell up 5%, and going straight to target, by the way, and BP straight to target and breaking to new highs. This is an ascending triangle pattern break. Those of you who've done my training course will be very familiar with these kind of moves. Glencore, another big oil trading company, heading to targets as well. So that's really quite key. But looking at the downside, because there are many more stocks falling, so no big surprises here that IAG, British Airways, effectively British Airways, Iberia, they've had a shock this morning. That is quite an unusual one. They were in an uptrend. They'd met their targets, but that's really quite key. And you can go right down to the 1-minute charts if you want to target this. Banks have been hit today as well. We're seeing Barclays down 5%. EasyJet's another one that's been hit as airlines. Fuel costs going up is going to affect airlines, so that's going to be quite key. And then if we just look through the list again, Lloyds, Standard Chartered, HSBC, all down around 5%. So we are seeing finance stocks globally hit, NatWest in that list as well. So the key thing is to keep an eye on these targets, and ideally make sure you're in trending stocks that are going up, and reduce holdings in stocks with downside targets below the cloud in downtrends. So a really interesting day there. It's going to be really key to watch these energy charts. That's going to be really where things go. Interestingly, that we're seeing European gas prices now going even higher. So this is a shock that's not going away. We're seeing power prices higher as well. That's going to potentially have an impact on inflation rates. And that's really why markets start to get fearful. Commodities rising, really quite key. And we're seeing even things like aluminium up higher. Really quite a lot of things just moving higher. There's the aluminium chart. And again, bullish above the cloud there. On the 60-minute chart, these new upside targets kicking in, breaking above the cloud. So we are starting to see a run in commodities. So it's going to be a very interesting few days, a pretty challenging week. Keep an eye on your price targets and make sure you've got stocks that are rising up towards their upside targets, and do look at trimming the stocks that are in downtrends. You need the targets and the charts to be able to do that. And I do say is a time for vigilance. Until tomorrow, happy charting. Bye for now.